How many of you have ever made a bad hire? I know it's getting late in the day, but I actually want to see your hands up. How many of you have ever made a bad hire? Hi, I'm Caitlin, CEO of Plum, and we're changing the future of hiring. We use cutting-edge behavioral science and analytics to match job seekers to the right role every time, based on the employer's unique needs for their role and company culture. Our customers call us Moneyball for hiring. The traditional hiring process is broken. When you look at a resume, you're making a decision based on misleading information. The reality is 78% of resumes contain misleading information. And where you went to school doesn't actually dictate how smart you are, and what Fortune 500 company you worked for doesn't indicate your personal work ethic. Within the first 90 seconds, we decide whether or not we like someone or not. You've probably already decided if you like me or not. And the reality is that we hire people we like. And it's often based on appearance, confidence, and charisma. Right now, this is a big problem because up to 20 to 50% of businesses lose their employee base, which accounts for $11 billion of annual loss. In a recent study of 20,000 new hires, 50% of them failed in the first 18 months. How much of those failed hires do you think resulted from skill? 11% of those failed hires were due to skill, but 89% of those failed hires were due to attitude. With Plum, we can quantify, we can measure, and we can predict attitude at the very beginning of the hiring process before you've even picked up a resume. This is how it works. We work independently or within an employer's applicant tracking system. A job seeker, after they've submitted their application, are prompted to take Plum's proprietary 25-minute assessment. And they're asked questions based on problem-solving ability, social intelligence, and behavioral priorities. And this is where the magic happens. The employer is then able to take a 5-minute survey that talks about their unique needs for the role and company culture. Plum takes the job profile and the employer's profile, and our proprietary algorithm creates a unique match score. It's like a dating website, but for hiring, where we meet the employer's unique needs. Our applicants tell us they love taking the Plum assessment. One, because they only have to take it once a year, but also because we provide them amazing insights and valuable feedback to help them with their career. Also, they like to share their Plum talent badges on their resume or their social media profiles like LinkedIn, which also helps Plum by bringing the awareness to a wider audience. I want to tell you a story about how we began this company. At my previous company, I was running an educational software company, and we went to hire our first employee. Using assessments, we discovered a candidate that was really smart, hardworking, and creative. But her resume showed she only had 7 years of waitressing experience and an art degree. She also didn't even know how to use Microsoft Excel. But based on her scores alone, we hired her. And within a year, she was director of operations, and within 2 years, she was acting president. If we had relied on the resume, we would have missed this opportunity to hire this amazing person that tripled our revenue in our business. And I'm proud to tell you that that person is my co-founder, Christine. My executive team has been working together for over 7 years, and we've compiled an amazing team of 7 people based on their Plum scores. We work in collaboration with a leading industrial organizational psychologist to create Plum's proprietary assessment and algorithms. He is one of the top 5 experts in fake-proof assessments. And our strategic advisor was the head of talent at Nest after a prestigious career at Apple. Plum is a software-as-a-service, low-cost monthly subscription platform that is industry agnostic. We can hire for any position in any industry on any level. And the reality is that we're able to match for the employer's unique needs, whereas our competitors are using cookie-cutter assessments on a per-test model, and 80% of their margins are often due to consulting services which can't scale. Plum has superior accuracy because we test for both intelligence, which is the #1 predictor of workplace performance, as well as the full spectrum of behavior in a way that can't be faked. So let me give you an example of an assessment that's right off of Procter & Gamble's website. If you were asked to hand in work, would you A, hand it in on time with mistakes? Sorry, would you hand it in late with mistakes, late with no mistakes, on time with mistakes, or on time with no mistakes? So pop quiz, you're competing for your dream job. Of course you're going to say that you're going to hand in work on time with mistakes. With Plum, we've made sure that our assessments can't be gamed because there are no right answers as we look at how people prioritize their behavior. The talent acquisition market in North America is $124 billion. Bottom-up projections show that Plum's total addressable market is $2 billion. There were 60,000 new hires, 60 million new hires in the last year alone in the US. Right now, we're doing $22,000 worth of monthly reoccurring revenue with our 7-person team in Waterloo, Ontario. Next year, we'll be opening our sales headquarters here in Buffalo and expanding our sales to just over $1 million. Within 4 years, we're projected conservatively to make $22 million. We'll be reinvesting our revenue into the business and breaking even in year 3 with a 10% margin. We have been helping match job seekers to employers for the last 4 years, and the numbers speak for themselves. We have helped screen 50,000 applicants for 1,500 positions. We have 50 active monthly customers, and we've grown 163% in the last year alone. Right now, our customers tell us they read 80% less resumes, they spend 60% less time interviewing, and their new hires are up to 41% more productive. We send employers performance reviews and ask them if they would hire their Plum hires again. And 100% of them to date have said yes. And further evidence is in the last 2 months, Plum has won the Gold International Stevie Business Award for Best New Human Capital Product, as well as we've been inducted into the CIX Top 20 Most Innovative Companies, and now we're here. Everything has led us to this moment. With the help of 43North and the great city of Buffalo, we have the opportunity to take Plum to the next level. 2 needs have emerged: job seekers who didn't get the job but still want to see what available jobs exist through Plum, and employers who would like to skip the job posting process and immediately search from a database of candidates for their perfect match. So applicants and job seekers both want to be able to search a database and find their perfect match immediately. And we're going to deliver that to them starting right here in Buffalo. Plum is going to transform into the world's first behavioral science talent marketplace. We've already begun talks with businesses in Buffalo and the University of Buffalo. We're going to start with screening and assessing new graduates and help them land into careers that will give them greater satisfaction. And then from there, we will be able to expand across the Route 90 corridor, starting with university campuses to build our database and expanding into other industries. The reality is creating a sales headquarters in Buffalo is a natural extension from our development office in Waterloo. By being able to help employers find better talent, it'll help them grow their business. And then they'll be able to hire more people. So Plum will help exponentially grow the hires in this area. And happier workers actually create more sustainable growth, and people will be looking to Plum and to Buffalo for that strong economic growth. With Plum, we want to help Buffalo's graduates find more successful jobs. Today is the day that we want to move away from the subjective hiring process and create a new talent marketplace. Tomorrow, the world will look to Buffalo and its thriving economy. Today, we begin the change. We're Plum, and we're changing the future of hiring. Thank you.
Okay, you coming up and joining us? No, come on. You're part of the team. Let's go. Come on, we got to come up here. Okay, you feel good? You feel better now?
This is Christine.
This is Christine. You feel better now? Good.
I want these questions.
All right, here we go. Let's go. And Daniel, we'll start with you.
I guess in terms of your selling process, can you walk me through how you've attracted the customers so far and what your experiences have been? By the way, you have terrific charisma. I think you have amazing energy, so I enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. So we've been in business for 4 years, and to date, it's been mostly organic growth and word of mouth, an enormous amount of word of mouth. We have a 98% retention rate. Our customers recommend us to their friends. But the reality is that customers want to be able to search an existing database. So within 5 minutes, they can see who's a top match. It removes all of the friction points of the sales process. And job seekers are banging down our doors to take our assessment and credential themselves. So it's been a slow progress, but we've had a lot of success. But the real chance to be the market leader and to have mass market penetration is to have the world's first behavioral talent marketplace.
Give me a question that's on the survey.
Pardon?
Tell me a question that's on the survey.
So from the applicant side, you're typically asked 3 positive things that you're asked to choose which one's most like you or least like you, and then all negative things, which job seekers don't like to admit negative things to employers, but it's actually one of the best ways of being able to see how they really prioritize their behavior. So they'd be asked to rank which is most like them and least like them out of 3 negative things. On the employer side, they're given about 12 different questions, and they're asked to choose 4 that they would require for the role and 4 that they are willing to sacrifice. And they're asked that over and over again. And basically, we're lining up the priorities of the job seeker with the priorities of the employer to create that proprietary Plum score. And it's all based on behavior and intellect.
How is that different than if I ask an EQ-based question versus an IQ-based question? I mean, it sounds to me that you've built a tool in between human conversation that is still 100% vulnerable on the human aspect of the conversation.
So 2 parts to that is that we do test for social intelligence. So what you're talking about with EQ, it's in there. The most important parts of it are baked right in. The reality,
like break that down a little further, meaning?
Example.
An example.
Okay, so it's called situational judgment. If you were to walk into a boardroom right now, this is the type of question, and an argument's going on. Out of these 4 different ways that you could respond, what's the most effective way to respond, and what's the least effective way of responding? And so we're getting a sense of how you communicate, your leadership style, your conflict resolution. So those are all the soft skills that typically are being covered in EQ.
But you're still at the mercy of the judge, of the person that's running the department, at being able to evaluate that in a proper way, right?
Well, the reality is that if you come into an interview, you're going to be using your human bias for all those things that we talked about that aren't even the answers to the questions. By putting it online into an assessment, we take out that human bias, and it's more systematic for quantifying. We're talking about big data here. We're talking about being able to quantify that behavior. You're still going to bring them in for an interview. Don't get us wrong. This is a front-of-the-end screening tool to get you that shortlist. So yes, there is a possibility of them still messing up the process, still managing the people wrong, but we've greatly reduced the problems with the hiring process, which right now are a coin flip.
I'm sorry, last thing. The company's 4 years old.
Yes.
Revenues are pretty modest in the scheme of that. Why?
So the first year, we were our own customers for 2.5 years. So we saw a massive need in the workplace to bring a software as a service, low-cost tool that was turnkey for all levels of business, not just the Fortune 500s. First year was strapping together a product, doing an MVP. Second year was growing our sales, moving to Waterloo. The third year was when we had an opportunity to do a pilot with Canada's largest job board. And that's where the emphasis on being able to scale across 50,000 open posts, 600,000 job seekers. And so last year, this is when we took out the human touch of a customer success manager working with an employer to find their needs and automated it into the match score. And most of our growth has been in the last 6 months alone. Revenues have been 163% growth in the last year because we finally found that first product market fit with the match score. The next step is building this marketplace, which you need funds. We need this $1 million. Canadian government's going to match $400,000 on top of this. We need this to be able to take the business to the next level. We know where we can sell this business in a very low friction way, but we need the funds to be able to let us execute on it.
So I have a 2-part question for you. Number one of the big pain points for large employers is they're trying desperately to recruit more diversified workforce, and I'd like you to speak to how you address that.
I'm going to let you, because you love this one. She loves it, because we are passionate about this.
Okay. I'm also interested, as part of your scale approach, why you've decided to focus on new hires, university students, recent grads, versus experienced hires.
Talking to you. So diversity. One of the biggest issues that, as we talked about inside of the presentation, is that you start making biases the minute you start with the traditional hiring process. So I look at a resume and I say, oh, you went to Harvard, you must be smart. Oh, you went to community college, you must be not. Or things like that all the time. When you bring somebody in for an interview, thank you. It's actually,
Don't turn it on.
is this thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
In an interview, hiring managers, 2/3 of hiring managers decide between two candidates based on their clothing alone. So even if you're not getting into the major parts of diversity of gender and religion and race and whatnot, these small decisions that we make throughout the process are made based on what we believe in a resume and then based on what we see in an interview. So by putting something like Plum in the front of the hiring funnel, where we say, we're not looking at your name, we're not looking at where you went to school, we're just trying to find out what drives you and what makes you the person that you are, you're really cutting down that confirmation bias that takes over throughout the hiring process.
Okay.
And the second part was why we're starting with millennials?
With 43North, we actually found that we were going to be able to go into universities using as part of the government program and go in and say, would you like to use this? Would you like to be a part of the different university opportunities? We have been approached by universities before, but the bureaucracy, unfortunately, was very difficult and the timelines were very long. I do our sales at the company, sales and partnerships, and it wasn't something that I really wanted to pursue because of the timelines, but having it escalated and quickened with the help of 43North, that's one side. The other side is millennials get a bad rap. We really kind of say, we don't know what to do with them, they're elitist, they're self-entitled, they're this or that, they're something else, and they're not. They're the same statistically that everybody else is across the population, and we want to give them an opportunity to showcase that.
But is that a pain point of the employers who are paying?
Oh, yeah. A lot of employers really don't know who to hire when it comes to millennials. They bracket them all into one lump sum and say, you're this because your entire generation is, and that's not going to stop with them. It's going to go to Gen Z and everywhere else. So if we can make it work in millennials, we can carry that over into different generations.
Okay, thanks.
Why, if, to me, there's a lot of HR software out there. I'm an investor in Namely, which is growing very quickly. I assume you want to partner with those kind of things.
Absolutely.
We could talk later, ladies. But I think the other question becomes, why can't they just layer on that questionnaire or their version of it? And that's what concerns me. I think a lot of the businesses we've seen today are predicated on the thing that everybody undervalues, which is speed. Speed of execution gives you the leverage to win a lot of these games. When I look at the speed that you've already historically shown me, which is slow, with all due respect, I'm concerned that this becomes a feature of a stronger HR platform that moves quickly, and then you lose as a business.
So we had an opportunity to pilot with Canada's largest job board, specifically thinking that our go-to-market licensing, get out there fast to existing databases. The problem is that a lot of these platforms, not Namely of course, but other ones already are outdated and they move very slow. So we basically, while we're waiting for these licensing deals to come through, our revenues are dragging. So we said, with this opportunity, with this money, we're going to go improve the concept of the marketplace on our own to speed up their process. And one of two things are going to happen. Either LinkedIn's going to come along and try to acquire us like they did with Bright.com, which is a similar matching platform but only based on keywords and skill. Or we're going to prove the concept. This is going to go like gangbusters, and watch out, we're the next one. And so we're doing both attempts. We would love to license with a company like Namely. They're at the top of what they're doing. Absolutely. We were designed to be licensed in the first place. But the marketplace is something that we can do without being held at the timelines of other companies.
Just to add, one of the things that we are doing too is going after all job seeker platforms. So working with people like veterans groups, people who are previously incarcerated, people in transition, because what we're doing is offering the Plum profile to them for free. So we can build up our database.
Customer acquisition.
Right, exactly. So licensing
against
is where
people that don't have black and white data as a positive, but this can be a VIG against it.
Exactly right.
We launched last month our API integration with Greenhouse.io, which is one of the fastest growing applicant tracking systems. So we're already doing those partnerships. It's just in.
Fantastic. Ladies, you did great.
Thank you very much.
Take care.